On this 15th day of the Schumer shutdown, federal paychecks remain frozen and basic services remain halted across the country. Negotiations to reopen have stalled as Democrats continue to refuse to pass a clean funding bill unless Republicans approve of a slate of overseas spending demands. Listen.
It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI+ democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa, and $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that.
Well, that was Speaker Mike Johnson, and he calls all of this an America Last wish list. Global pet projects that do nothing to reopen airports, pay troops, or restore domestic services for Americans. Democrats argue foreign aid accounts for about 1% of the federal budget and that many of these programs are long-standing U.S. commitments. Well, they claim the real stumbling block is Republican resistance to health care and climate funding. Federal workers have now been without pay as of today for 2 weeks, with agencies like HHS and the CDC announcing layoffs, not just furloughs. A longtime Wisconsin State Senate Majority Leader, former Army reservist, and current member of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Scott Fitzgerald, joins us in studio. As I was saying before we went on air, I don't think I've had as much fun listening to that as Doge.
No, right. If you look at the difference between what the Speaker is referring to as the clean CR and some of the things that, quite honestly, were put out on the street by the Senate, the Democrats in the Senate,
right,
and how that matches up with kind of what the Republicans did before we left town in passing the CR. It almost looks like a list of earmarks that they would see, they would need satisfaction to actually take action. So it's something that's been flatly rejected, but they're just ludicrous proposals.
This may be a silly question, but I've spoken to colleagues of yours, like Congressman Tim Burchett. He comes from a state where they have line item budget resolutions, and
right,
there's been, I think, years of discussion. Why can't we just have, line item budgets if we have really essential services that really need to get going? There are things that the left and the right agree on. Why can't we push something like that through?
Well, interesting enough, I think that's where the U.S. Senate is going. Senator Thune right now is actually kind of bringing back the whole process of doing the 12 appropriations bills, which is, a process that brings spending back out into the open. You can offer something, if you'd like to, for your district or for a constituency, but it's done in a very public way with an amendment on the floor of the House. So that's the process that we should be using to fund the government. It's obviously a clear responsibility that falls in the lap of Congress, but we haven't been doing it the right way for a long, long time, a.k.a. Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was creating these massive pieces of legislation in her office and then unleashing it on the entire House for many years. So what Senator Thune is making the case for right now is, hey, listen, you won't vote for a clean CR. Well, then we're going to continue with the appropriations process, and I think that's great.
So in terms of employees, federal employees that have been furloughed versus laid off, the federal employees who've been laid off so far have amounted to about 4,000. Your thoughts on the Trump administration really kind of seeing this as a good thing, saying, hey, we're cleaning out the bureaucracy. These are non-essential federal workers.
Yeah, Director Vogt yesterday, who has been kind of the watchdog on where the federal employees will land in this whole shutdown. He came up with a number yesterday that was 10,000 federal employees still could lose their jobs as a result of this.
Permanently.
Permanently. So if that doesn't get the attention of the senators that right now are still holdouts, I'm not sure will. I mean, what they have really kind of had an allegiance with federal employees for many, many years. And it's obviously one of the reasons that the director is, I think, throwing that number out there to make it a reality. I mean, this is really going to happen if they don't kind of come around to doing their job the way the House of Representatives did 3 weeks ago.
Does it feel at all behind the scenes like the Democrats are willing to move things around as they see these threats of permanent layoffs? I mean, do they seem like they're at all starting to move the needle?
I will say the only thing I've kind of heard kind of behind the scenes is that there are some Democrat senators that are looking at this November 21st deadline and saying, kind of as we inch closer and closer to that, couldn't there be some type of handshake agreement with the Republicans, pass the CR, and then if they want to work on other proposals, including their health care stuff, that maybe that could then come back and there could be discussions. But I think the Speaker's doing the right thing. He's laying down kind of the idea again that we did our job, we passed the bill over to the Senate, and he has the support of Senator Thune and the Republicans over there to say, no, we're not going to budge until you kind of come back to your senses and open up the government.
I'm surprised that the Democrat side has not come up with a more savvy rebuttal to all of this, because on the one hand, you hear them saying, broad strokes saying, health care, and Republicans come back in and say, okay, so let's look at the health care that's going in. It's going to illegals. It's going to people who shouldn't be getting it. And then now there's this shift, as we just heard from Johnson, where we're asking about, why are we funding democracy projects in Zimbabwe? So every time they have this broad-stroked rebuttal, the Republicans are coming in with a very specific line item thing that seems to make them seem a little foolish when it comes to funding.
Well, here's one of the other problems the Democrats in the Senate have right now, and that is that they've begun to kind of fracture. And what I mean by that is they all have their own solution on what the House should do to bring this to a conclusion. Well, this healthcare it's expansive, it's comprehensive, it's something that touches every American's life. The idea that there's some simple solution out there also, it doesn't exist. It's evasive. So, what is their solution at the end of the day? Nobody really knows. And if you negotiated something in the U.S. Senate and then sent it back to the House, I mean, with our two-seat majority we're operating with right now, do you know how long it would take for the Speaker to actually wrangle the votes to get something through? It's not going to happen.
Congressman, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Stay tuned. As Governor J.B. Pritzker sues to keep Trump's troops out of Illinois, Governor Jeff Landry out of Louisiana shows what federal-state teamwork can do by contrast. He joins us next. We'll be right back.